Welcome once again to Friendly Fire. We are a 3 to 5 panel discussion show where each week we will talk about a certain topic. I am your host, Andrew Baker. I am one of the admin for the Facebook group Multicontinental Wrestling Alliance. You can also find us on YouTube under the same name and on Twitter at MWA World. Alrighty, let's jump right in and meet the panelists for tonight. The first panelist is one of my admin, Piers Austin.
Oh,
how you going, Piers?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Next, whoops, wrong button.
Hey, motherfucker! Don't take the best looking guy off the screen, Jesus.
Next, I will bring in what? No, he's gone.
Oh.
Next, I will bring in Angel Kingpin Medina. How are you, Angel?
Doing all right, brother. Doing all right. How you doing?
ECW original.
That's right. Absolutely. I fell asleep just right now. Absolutely. Can you do me a favor, Andrew? Can you say, pardon me, can you pass the Grey Poupon?
So what?
Pardon me. Can you pass me the Grey Poupon? You never saw that commercial?
No.
I remember that one.
It's an old commercial. Anyway, I'll send it to you guys so you get a little laugh out of it.
Grey Poupon.
Next, I will bring in one Anytime Strowman, also known as Kevin Rodriguez from Wrestling Review Society.
Get that nose gold.
What's going on, guys?
Not much, brother. What's happening?
Having a quiet evening.
Andrew, you always have a quiet evening. I swear you say like 3 words your entire life.
Not tonight.
And last but not least, we have Christy Brood Adams. When I can hit the right button. I did get that name right, didn't I?
Close enough. I think we went with the theme of ladies first tonight.
No, it's the me movement. The me movement. You guys are treated equally.
I was calling Piers a lady.
Oh, I'm the bearded lady.
Yeah, I'm feeling left out. I'm like the only one without a beard.
I thought that was Nyla Rose.
But I tell you what, you know, Christy and Andrew, you guys have been very lucky this week because you both have been able to get the hosts of Wrestling with Tragedy on your shows in the same week. So congratulations.
Absolutely.
I've had them on the other weeks too.
just for those people who don't know, would you like to tell us about your show?
Now, everyone get comfy. This could take a while.
Angel, why don't you take it over from here?
Well, Wrestling Tragedy is a podcast involving scandals and the dark side of professional wrestling, where we dig in deep. I sound like Pierce when we dig in deep into the topic and just try to find out. Just give us our opinion in regards to like the Moolah scandal. You know, let's say Dino Bravo. You know, Dynamite Kid. When we just dig in deep and just look at it and analyze it and then give our opinion at the end of the show. So it's a good, panel of intellectual gentlemen talking about shit.
A bit like what we're going to do here tonight.
Yeah. And just remember, guys, I'm half asleep, so I'm not flowing very...
The Kingpin hasn't had his king coffee.
I know.
So anyway, last week's topic, we discussed the resurgence of wrestling here in Australia in the 90s. And being that the MWA admin is a majority of Australians, I thought I would continue with the Aussie theme for now. Oh. And this week's topic is Australian wrestlers in the American promotions.
I thought you guys were from England. You guys all sound alike.
Oh, thank you.
Chip, cheerio, and all that good shit.
Hello there. Would you like some ginger ale?
How you going? Put another shrimp on the barbie.
That's
you just set us back decades, bro.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. So what are we discussing?
So the first wrestlers that I will bring up are the Fabulous Kangaroos, Roy Heffernan and Al Costello. Al Costello. They held the Florida and Texas versions of the NWA World Tag Team titles, as well as the Northeast version of the NWA United States Tag Team titles in the Capital Wrestling Corporation later to become the WWF. On three occasions, as well as being inducted into the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame. Any of you guys have any info or extra things you'd like to discuss with them?
I don't know them. Let's roll back out of this.
Oh, we're joined by Charles Chucky Baby, one of our other
I didn't want to be
admins.
the first one to say it.
Okay, sorry I'm so late.
That's all right. So the fabulous kangaroos you were talking about, Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Well,
were like
they
back
were-
in the 50s, right? 50s and 60s.
Yeah, they were around the 60s and 70s, I think. I'm not sure if they were there in the 50s, but they were the real sort of start of Australians actually branching out into obviously the United States in professional wrestling. And even back then, pro wrestling wasn't anywhere near as where it is today. It was still back in the territory days. And Andrew mentioned off the titles that these guys held, in Florida and Texas. Andrew, have you got any other information? Where else did they work? Did they work the Mid-Atlantic area at all as well, or were they mainly just around Florida and Texas?
I think they were just around Florida and Texas, from what I put down.
Right. So I'm pretty sure they did some work for WWF as well at some stage.
Well, I mean, they used to work for WWF. They used to work for the NWA. They worked for Japan Mid Wrestling Association. I'm trying to remember. That's all I can remember, but I could look it up and see who else
that
they
was
worked for.
Journeyman.
Did they
Don't act like you're trying to remember anything. We all know you're using Google.
No, now I'm using Google.
How much did they live up to their gimmick? Did they come out with the kangaroo sort of? Did they jump to the ring? Did they wear anything Australian looking?
They used to come out with the Australian Army hats. Yeah, the curved hats. I remember I've seen photos of them doing that. But also Al Snow was actually in a resurgence of that tag team, I think in some stage in the 80s.
They wrestled in Puerto Rico.
They could have come out bounding out like kangaroos.
Yeah, they wrestled in Puerto Rico.
Sort of one stand back.
Oh, they're out there as well.
Tail and kick.
Who was
the gimmick?
Who was the next Australians to come in after those guys, Andrew?
You're muted, Andrew.
Oh, Andrew, you're on mute.
Anytime, Andrew. Anytime.
Anyway, I would have
as we're waiting for him in technical difficulties, I mean, and don't get me wrong, was the sheep herders, also known as the bushwhackers, they're not Australian, they're from New Zealand, or was it New Zealand their gimmick?
No, they were New Zealanders.
Okay.
But, the thing is with Australian New Zealanders, we'll claim New Zealanders. You know what I mean? Like Crowded House.
Am I working now?
Yeah, you're working now. So, but yeah, who were the next Australians after the fabulous Kangaroos?
I have Angel's favourite, Peter Stillsbury, also known as Outback Jack. Best known for appearing in the WWF as Outback Jack from 1986 to 1988. He portrayed a Northern Australian bushman coming to America to compete in the WWF.
I think Angel should sing the opening song.
I reckon so too.
So much.
But the thing is as well, Outback Jack, he wasn't there for too long, and he really did come out with the typical Australian gimmick, like the crikey and time a kangaroo down sport.
He gets himself up on the one elbow and he turns to his mates who are gathered around.
I love this song.
Watch me wallabies feed, mate. Watch me wallabies feed.
Which I don't understand what the fuck he's talking about.
You say, watch my wallabies poo?
I think he says, watch my wallaby speak. And I don't even know what a wallaby is, but
wallaby. Yeah, it's like a kangaroo.
Little kangaroo.
Yeah,
but smaller or something,
Yeah,
or
they're
bigger.
Yeah, little.
No, wallabies are smaller.
Yeah, a kangaroo will fuck you up.
A wallaby won't.
Oh yeah.
No. Wallabies
I
are
probably
small.
still will though.
No, they're smaller. They're more timid. Kangaroos will
know.
stand their ground. But yeah. Sorry, Andrew. Continue.
little bit of extra trivia here. WWE had LJN Wrestling Superstars create an Outback Jack action figure to be produced and distributed worldwide. 2003, Pro Wrestling Illustrated published a list of the top 400 wrestlers. Stillsbury was ranked number 371.
I have a question.
Yes, Angel.
Now I don't know because I can't remember him speaking, but was Skinner an Australian gimmick or was he just a safari?
Skinner was just like an Outback Safari guy. Skinner was actually
I know who it was, but
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, but I'm just trying to think what his shoot name is. He ran Florida Championship Wrestling.
I'll get that information. Hold on. But
yeah, no, Skinner was just like he was like the Florida Wild Man, you know.
Yeah, I just don't remember him speaking. I can't remember his voice, so that's why I'm like, was he doing an Australian gimmick or you know?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I'll find out. Keep going.
So anyway, the next one I've got is the Bushwhackers. We mentioned them briefly just before. They first competed as the New Zealand Kiwis and then as the Sheepherders during their 36-year career as a tag team. Wrestled in WWF at the time, Jim Crockett Promotions, and on the independent territorial wrestling circuits. Bushwhackers consisted of Butch Miller and Luke Williams, while the Sheepherders also included Jonathan Boyd and Rip Morgan as members at certain times. Okay. Williams and Miller were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2015. And yes, they're not technically Australian, but we will claim them as our own.
As we do with all of the celebrities.
And Skinner was named Steve Kern, and he played a alligator hunter from the Florida Everglades. So yeah,
I remember. Yeah, I remember seeing the special on the WWE Network about FCW, and they did because he was running that promotion for WWE. But you know what? I'm really glad you brought up the Bushwhackers because I want to say this. If you have only seen the Bushwhackers in WWF, you need to go back and have a look and find whatever you can on the Sheepherders because they were bad, vicious motherfuckers.
No, I agree with you. No, I was agreeing with you. The Sheepherders were awesome. I mean, they were the most bloodiest tag team out there. Of course, they went into the comedy skit because that's what WWE wanted them for. But
Kevin's got a bad connection, so he may or may not be back.
But But the thing is, before WWE or whatever, WWF, I mean, they were just bloody motherfuckers. That's all I used to watch their matches. They were hardcore.
They were fucking brutal, man. Like, they were absolutely fucking savage as, man. And, like, that's the thing. I could definitely see, like, when they went to WWF and went into the comedy gimmick, it probably prolonged their careers by about 20 years, though, because the way that their matches they were having were just absolutely savage, man. Like, they were, that you could probably compare them to the Baldies and also, probably compare them to, like, New Jack sort of style in the Gangsters.
Yeah,
very sort of similar. That you know what I mean?
They were ahead of us, man. I mean, their forehead looked like a fucking a raisin. That's how much blading they did. They were hardcore, man. I watched old matches. They were badass motherfuckers, man. That's why they look all fucked up now and walk all fucked up because their knees and their elbows are all shot and shit.
And the forehead just look all fucking scarred.
Oh yeah. My forehead's all fucked up, but not Abdullah the Butcher fucked up. Hey Charles, when are you gonna be coming over to my house with that pizza? Because you're driving around in that pizza truck. Every time I see you, look like you're doing deliveries.
Funny thing is, I actually had a pizza for the first time in a while tonight for dinner. So there you go. It all ties back.
I always wanted to try a pizza with alligator. I never had the taste.
I'm telling you. I've never eaten alligator, crocodile, or anything. I'm not a fucking chance I ever will. Dude. I'm such a picky eater, so just for everyone, not a chance. Unless someone pays me to do it, I ain't doing it.
Hold on. So, Charles, you better not come to America because now that you put that staple in, we're going to take you and get gator one day.
So, anyways,
no, go on.
Has anyone seen any of their WWE escapades.
Yeah, man. I
know.
was a fucking huge fan, man, of the Bushwhackers in the 90s, man. Like, and as you said, because of New Zealand, you know, in Australia, we pretty much claim everything New Zealand has as our own. So, but I'll tell you what, man, you should send a link to this guy, man, Sammy. So Sammy Russo, he's a promoter for the AWE here in Australia. He says first famous Aussies in the USA were the fabulous Kangaroos, Al Costello and Roy Heffman. That's correct, Sammy. We just discussed that previously, and we're moving on. But if you want to come on, let us know, and we can send you a link if you'd like to join this panel this evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Sammy, if you want to bring the Baldies down to Australia so we could show you guys how to wrestle, we definitely could get you taken care of. That is Kingpin approved, buddy.
I'll tell you what I like about this show, right? It seems like you just got fucking people running in and out, and it's kind of like chaos, but it's kind of cool as fuck as well, because you have people from all different areas talking about this. It's fun. I like this episode.
Welcome
It's
to
only
the
been on for about 5 minutes.
Well, that's the thing. It's all about, you know, the different parts of pro wrestling, and obviously Australia being the primary point of discussion as well. You know, like we missed out on a lot of wrestling over certain years, as we discussed on Andrew's show last week. But Andrew, please continue.
So moving on, we'll move on. We've got Nathan Jones next, Australian actor, powerlifting champion, strongman, and retired professional wrestler. He held the WWA World Heavyweight Championship once in the World Wrestling All-Stars and aligned himself with The Undertaker in World Wrestling Entertainment on its SmackDown brand. After leaving WWE, Jones was scheduled to make his pro wrestling return in 2004 at the Australian Wrestling Super Show 3, booked against Mark Mercedes. Jones did not appear as advertised, and a battle royal was held following an angry shoot promo on Jones by Mercedes and promoter Andy Raymond. In 2005, he wrestled 3 matches for World Series Wrestling. On October 5, he defeated Lee Starr, and on the 7th and 8th of October, he defeated Mark Hilton. After his last match with Hilton, Jones immediately retired from wrestling. And in 2008, Jones signed with TNA, but nerve damage caused by a cement truck hitting his left arm kept him sidelined for the first 3 months, and he never returned and wrestled for the promotion.
Crikey!
Fuck you did, mate. Look, the thing is with Nathan Jones, and Nathan Jones, when he went to WWE, he had everything that Vince McMahon wants. The big muscle look. And, you know, he had that difference with having the Australian accent and having a different appeal. So, you know, he definitely had something there, but I just think, you know, he wasn't really meant for that schedule in the WWE.
If he had panned out, he could have. If he had been able to pick up on it quick enough and, you know, had the passion for it, he really, like, that would have fucking launched wrestling in Australia a whole lot earlier than it did. Like, I think it would have taken it to another level. If we had a big main eventer like that, it would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he was supposed to wrestle the Undertaker at WrestleMania, but like you know, I don't know the circumstances surrounding why they changed that match, but you know, from what was heard, it was that they didn't think he was ready to perform at that level.
Yeah.
Like for me,
if
someone years ago had asked me, you know, who was the first Aussie wrestler in WWE or WWF, like, I would have said Nathan Jones, you know, before I learned more and things. But yeah, to me, he was like, I'd say probably of this generation, the first Australian wrestler to sort of break through.
Look, I don't think he was the first Australian wrestler to break through. I think he was probably the first Australian wrestler to be on WWE in, you know, since the you know what I mean, in a very long time, you know, as I think 88. So, you know, it was something new and it was something different, but, you know, it comes down to the person as well. Like, you know, Nathan Jones, he was a tank. He was a big guy. You know, he was perfect. He was built for WWE, but, you know, obviously the circumstances surrounding it made his career very short there. So, but also people also don't remember this as well, but he actually did jail time before he went to WWE because he robbed a bank. So I'm not sure if Andrew said that when I come out before, but yeah, he did jail time.
But you know what's funny is that and again, this is just being because I'm American. I really don't catch it sometimes. But there's a lot of Australian wrestlers like Emma and all them. But the thing is that us Americans are like, is that because if you don't say those key phrases like "crikey," shrimp on the Barbie bullshit, people think like, is that either he's from England and they consider, they just throwing like, oh, he's English. We don't hear the different dialects. So that's the problem. There are a lot of Australian wrestlers we're not aware of, and they don't say it.
Oh, 100%. Andrew, send Sammy a link. See if he wants to come on.
Send Sammy a link? No,
I love hot links. I love hot links. Oh, you're talking about a link to the show.
Yeah. But that's the thing, you mentioned like without hearing the crikeys and the mates and the the typical throw another shrimp on the Barbie. But Angel, as you know, like you and I speak quite a few times a week. You never hear me say I don't say shit like that.
Yeah, but like England, they go, hey governor, they say those
hey gov.
Hey gov.
Whereas here we just go, what's up, cunt?
Yeah. So that's the only thing that I know. Yeah, they say governor and and they say mate and shit like that, but it's just that when they hear that, oh, he's from England, so that's the problem. Yeah, even from New Zealand, they'll be like, oh yeah, I thought they were bushwhackers were Australian. I mean, not Australian. Australian, not New Zealanders. Yeah. I just thought New Zealand was a gimmick. Like they say, hey, you're from New Zealand. We have too many Australians.
It's a fine line, really. Like people from other places that aren't from New Zealand or Australia, like sometimes can't understand what the difference is. But like for an Australian, if we had a New Zealander here, we could definitely tell the difference in their accent, and they could with us. Like if we went on a New Zealanders wrestling show.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing in America. Like if they, I'm from New York and you hear those words, like I say, hammer, water, quarter, if that's my New York accent. But then if you go to Jersey or you go to Georgia, Tennessee, they have their different lingos. And then if you go, hey, you're from Tennessee? No, motherfucker, I'm not from that mother, because people get insulted. I am not from Jersey, Yeah. So.
But you know what? Like, so Nathan Jones, like Vince McMahon tried to convince Nathan Jones to stay, as Sammy Russo was saying, but because he hated the travel. I mean, when you get to the level of a WWE superstar, Angel, or to that level of working for a major promotion, you understand what is involved in being a professional wrestler, right? Like, he couldn't have been that naive to it, could he?
Who, Vince?
No, Nathan Jones, because that's what the reason why he left WWE, was he hated the travel. When you get to that, level, like surely you understand what goes into.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when you pay your dues, I mean, I know Australia is big, but I mean, it's the same thing. If you have to drive to the other side, or Sydney, or Melbourne. She makes fun of me because I say Melbourne. But yeah, I mean, you paying your dues. So if he didn't like the travel, then he should have not been in professional wrestling, because he's not the Big Show. He's not, Brock Lesnar to pick and choose where he wants to go. So that's again a part of wrestling that people are losing the meat of it, is just paying your dues.
Yeah,
and now you go to the performance center and that's all you do. Oh, I'll go to the performance center and get trained by whoever, and now I'm a superstar, but you never paid your dues traveling.
I've sent you a link, Sammy.
Let me tell you a quick story. The difference. When I first got to ECW, I was on the ring crew, literally tearing up and down that fucking ring with Tony DeVito and the other boys, Bill Wiles. And the thing is that doing the New Jack matches, I used to get the shit kicked out of me, bleed every night, and then tear down the ring, and then drive to the next town, 5 hours, bloody, dizzy, and then get to the hotel, sleep for 2 hours, get back to the new building, put up the ring, go to the store, pick up the equipment for Sabu. I mean, that, and you know what the funny thing is? Before that, I did all my chores, traveling, and then Tommy Dreamer tells me, he goes, kid, right now is when you start paying your dues. What the fuck? You mean all 4 years of fucking driving up down the road, making $20 and not getting paid? That's not paying your dues? No, kid. Right now it's called paying your dues. I was pissed. But I mean, it built me up.
Yeah, 100%. But then that's the thing. Obviously, you had some pretty big angles there, and it sort of built your career by obviously paying those dues. So, but
yeah, but it was hard. Yeah. It was hard, man. It was. I'm
We'll
sorry.
move on.
Oh, that's okay. I wasn't talking, Andrew.
Anytime, Andrew. Anytime.
Now he
Uh,
comes
ne-
in.
Yeah. Now he fucking.
Sorry, I was trying to
I'm
send
just messing
Sammy
with
that
you.
link.
I'm just
for-
messing with you, brother. Don't worry. Anything I say, I'm just fucking with you.
I know,
Yeah.
mate. No problem with you at all whatsoever.
I just don't want you to get off the thing and say this fucking black motherfucker. Because I'm not black.
I definitely wouldn't be talking about me because I'm fluorescent white.
You look like a jellyfish.
Next up, I've got Tennille Dashwood, also known as Emma. She's currently signed to Impact Wrestling under her real name, Tennille Dashwood, and also competes on the independent circuit. Best known for her time in WWE as Emma from 2012 to 2017. She was the first female Australian wrestler to be signed in WWE and was active in the NXT division as well as on Raw and SmackDown. She also gained notoriety for her time in Ring of Honor. Bit of history. She started training in Australia in 2003 when she was 13 years old. In 2008 and 2011, she went to Canada and trained at the Storm Wrestling Academy. Prior to being signed with WWE, she wrestled in Australia and North America on the independent circuit for promotions like Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling. Try saying that 3 times fast. And Shimmer Women Athletes under the ring name Tennille Taylor.
Oh, hey, you know what she's also best known for? Shoplifting.
Dancing funny.
Yes.
Stole that iPad. Are you Australians known for stealing iPads?
No, I thought it was like a phone. I thought she flogged a phone cover or some shit.
I thought it was an iPad cover. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was a cover of some Apple product, but you know, she came into WWE and they pretty much put her in a comedy gimmick with Santino Marella, doing the dancing, like whatever dance moves that she was doing and he was doing for a while, and then sending her back down to NXT when you started to see her turning heel. You really got to see another side of her, and I think her in WWE, I don't think they really knew what they had. Kind of like the whole EC3 thing. They just don't know that what they have there when they have it. And
EC3 is the most phenomenal wrestler. I mean, but think about it. He left WWE to go to Impact, and he became famous. And then they still didn't utilize him when he came back.
Yeah.
Oh man, EC3 was fucking unreal in Impact.
But that's the thing. You look at Emma since she left WWE. She's had success in Ring of Honor. She's had success in Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling. And she's really reinvented herself on the indies.
Would she have had the same success, do you think, if she wasn't on WWE prior?
I think, she would have. But I think, it probably would have taken her a little bit longer to get there.
I don't know. The problem with WWE is that, I mean, look, the Revival, I think the Revival, a phenomenal tag team. They didn't utilize them. Emma, it's a great wrestler, and, EC3, all those people, they don't know how to utilize their people. They just use who they want to use, and they pick who they want to build,
Wasn't it?
They've got too many guys, man.
Wasn't
too many
it
guys.
Emma that they tried to bring back as some fitness model or something, and they had a couple of promos and then nothing? Was that Emma, or am I thinking of someone else?
No, they were going to bring her back as a supermodel. And do like it was actually kind of like, they did a few vignettes for it, but Vince wasn't happy. Well, apparently, I don't know. I didn't speak to Vince personally, but from what was backstage, that he wasn't happy with the way she delivered it. Like she didn't make it believable enough, because they only did it for like a few weeks and then they pulled it, and then they pretty much gave that gimmick to Lana, and Lana became the ravishing Russian.
That's what it was. Yeah, I remember that vignette, and she came, and then she just disappeared, and then Lana came out later and stuff. That's just, dude, that will break my heart if that was me, and they're like, hey, we're gonna give you a push, and then they do this, and then they pull the rug from under you. But just the thing is, they didn't give her a chance. That's the problem. They didn't give her an opportunity. You can't just think sometimes that you give that guy or girl the opportunity, and then if they don't hit the home run the first time, then you pull the rug from under it.
It kind of feels like.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Charles.
I was just going to say, it kind of feels like in the past, they would have been more patient. But for some reason, I don't know why. It just feels like they're so fucking impatient now.
Well, that's
You know what about my patience is that I'm looking up at your nose hairs and you need a nose trimmer. That's what is testing my patience. It's like I'm in the safari.
I'll do this one instead. Fuck, I'm a pain in the ass. I'm sorry, boys.
No,
and
you're
girls.
awesome. I mean, just deliver that pizza, man. Just deliver that pizza.
Yeah, he's walking up and down the
Hang on.
street.
I think I'm walking the dog. I don't know if you can see that there. But,
he's black like me. You can't see him unless he smiles.
It's midnight and I'm walking the dog.
And we'll move right along. We'll go to Buddy Murphy.
Sorry, I
moving
fucking
along.
hijacked this show. I'm sorry.
No, I hijacked it. Man, moving along.
Buddy Murphy.
Prior to joining WWE, he wrestled primarily in his native Australia under the ring name Matt Silver, appearing in promotions such as Professional Championship Wrestling and Melbourne City Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Adams joined WWE in 2013, starting out in NXT. The following year, he formed a tag team with Wesley Blake, winning the NXT Tag Team Championship on one occasion. Murphy thus became the first Australian to hold a championship in WWE. I think
that's correct. That's correct. He was the first Australian to win a championship in WWE, and with the NXT Championship run. And you know what, Buddy Murphy, it's great seeing what he's actually been able to accomplish now in the run that he's been able to have on the main roster with the Raw Tag Team titles with Seth Rollins. And it's really good to see that an Australian boy is getting that sort of level of of an association with Seth Rollins, who's obviously one of WWE's top guys at the moment. And to have him partnered with Seth just goes to show how much stock that they actually do have in Buddy Murphy.
Are they still the tag champs, him and Seth? I haven't watched.
No.
Hey, I have a question from America here, and no, it's not an Aborigine. What is your famous black Australian wrestler? Black, not an Aborigine, a black famous Australian wrestler. Andrew,
a black famous Australian wrestler.
What, you don't have blacks down there?
Well, we do, but
you look at it like black Australian wrestler.
I don't understand the question. Sorry, what?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying like black and white people, but I don't want to use Aborigine because they're black. But do you have really from Africa or from the United States that were born in Australia that are black professional wrestlers? Are they famous? Do you have any famous black professional wrestlers from Australia?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I think the closest famous black Australian athlete is Kyrie Irving, and he doesn't even associate himself with Australia.
And he's not a pro wrestler, though.
Okay.
No, I know that's what I'm saying in terms of athlete. That's about as far as it goes.
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot, Andrew. I just never seen any black Australian wrestlers.
Not to say that there aren't any on the Australian indie circuit, but
well, let me say this: you fans out there, if you find any black Australian wrestlers, please let me know at Wrestling with Tragedy. I would like to know.
Actually, hang on.
Fair.
Andrew's googling it. Black Aussie.
I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if there is.
Oh, there definitely is, but whether they're oh, actually, no, there is. Oh, he's an Islander, Bronson Reed, formerly known as Jonah Rock.
Oh my God, you got tears in my eyes. I love to see the Australians like, what the fuck?
Well, I do have him on my list. Calm down. I do have Jonah Rock. We'll get to Jonah Rock shortly. He is on a list. Anything else you would like to discuss about Buddy Murphy?
Look, I think we just got started on Buddy Murphy. I think he's definitely got a lot of potential. And I think I could definitely see him with a run with the IC or the United States title in the next 12 months.
Like, I hadn't really seen work, but I was excited as all fuck to find out when him and Aleister Black were doing a segment, and, like, they were going to start fighting, and I was like, ooh, I was the most excited I've been for quite a while, and I was just like, this should be good. And I was like, yeah, he did great. The two of them did great work. And then they sort of sent him off to do with the Seth Rollins thing. I was like, I kind of wanted more matches from them.
The one thing I find kind of interesting about him is, like, he sort of, like, I came across him because he was dating, what's her name? Who the fuck is he dating? That what's her name? Alexa Bliss, right?
Yeah, Buddy Murphy.
And then like
no, not Buddy Murphy.
yeah, and then
Buddy
wasn't
Murphy.
he?
Was. No, he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and he was just like this guy next to her, and then all of a sudden he comes on TV and he's fucking jacked to the gills all of a sudden, and looks phenomenal, and I'm like, fuck, this bloke looks the part now, and he's sort of just taken off from there, and the fact that he's he trained 10 minutes from my house is a pretty cool thing to fucking know.
Oh,
So I'm all behind him.
Melbourne boy, and you know what? When they did the when they did the Super Showdown Angel here in Australia, WWE, Buddy Murphy came out to the ring, and that's where he won the cruiserweight title, and and he got the biggest pop of the night, like out of any single wrestler that was there. Like the crowd,
it was huge,
nuts. And when he won, it was like, it was just like next level.
It was deafening.
Mm.
Yeah.
Also,
and shout out to him because he is a Carlton supporter, and I will always get behind anyone who follows Carlton.
Orlando
Anyone
Jordan.
who doesn't know what Carlton is. Orlando Jordan. He
lives
lived
in
here, didn't
Australia.
he, for a while?
He lives in Melbourne, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I just googled it.
Yeah. No. I think it does count.
Orlando Jordan.
Really?
He doesn't have the accent.
No, Orlando
No, he
Jordan.
doesn't.
He was in WWE. You remember? He was part of JBL's
cabinet.
Yeah.
And that forgettable thing that he did in TNA.
Oh, that was bad. That was really bad.
That was fucking. Oh, that was weird.
That was like Rob Van Dam doing that for dudes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, what did he do in TNA?
He spurted like white cream and shit all over him, like he received a cum shot on like as his entrance. Like it was weird.
Okay then.
There's nothing wrong with a little man gravy.
Can we send a video like can we share like a screen of the video? I'm kidding. I'll go back to being quiet.
Baby batter.
Next up, we have the Iconics, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. They both attended the same high school and trained by Madison Eagles. Not quite sure. I didn't put anything in that in my notes. They are the first All-Australian Tag Team Champions in WWE history and the first Australians to win a title at WrestleMania. Prior to WWE, Kay and Royce wrestled in Pro Wrestling Women's Alliance in Australia under the names Jessie McKay and KC Cassidy. They debuted as a team on 8th of March 2015, shortly after being signed by NXT, and were used as jobbers on house shows. Later dubbing themselves the Iconic Duo and unsuccessfully chasing after the NXT Women's Championship. They made their move to the main roster, joining SmackDown in April of 2018, now as the Iconics, and captured the Women's Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 35 the following year. So they've done pretty well for themselves, I think.
Yeah, no, they definitely have. They definitely have. They've definitely had a very good run. You also see with the Iconics as well, like what they've been able to accomplish, and also the gimmick that they've been able to do. Like you see, like how they're being perceived is like you can really see that's the upper class, like snobby Australian female, and like they're nailing that really like to a T.
And like their pose, their saying, like their gimmick got over.
It sure did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I definitely think the Iconics, I'd like to see them separate somewhere down the line and have a feud, because I reckon that'll pretty much be, that'll be where the money's at for them.
Have they ever actually really versed each other? Like I know they've tagged and been best friends, but have they ever actually maybe on the Indies? Yeah, true.
Probably, not on WWE television.
Mm.
Next, we'll move to my hometown girl, Rhea Ripley. Currently signed with WWE. What are you laughing at, Charles?
I love that though. No. I just love every time Rhea Ripley. She's from Adelaide. I love that.
Got to sell it.
No.
Hey,
You got to take it where you can.
I didn't hear the town. Is it? He said Garia Ripley, or that's the town? You said my hometown.
Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley.
That's the wrestler, not the town he's from.
Town is Adelaide. Adelaide, South
Adelaide.
Australia.
Is that where Gatorade is from?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Oh, okay. Just asking.
Sorry to interrupt.
Inaugural NXT UK Women's Champion and a former NXT Women's Champion. She is also the only person to have won both titles and the first female Australian champion in WWE history. Yeah.
I didn't know she was from Australia. I thought she was because I don't follow it. No, because I don't follow it, right? So when I heard like NXT UK champion, I was like, oh, okay, cool, she's from the UK. Didn't know she was Australian for like a year.
Yeah, same with
Had no idea.
Tony Storm as well, but Rhea Ripley.
She's Australian as well.
Yeah, they put a rocket on her back, man. They put a rocket on her back massively, and she's they actually released her, but then the latest episode of NXT, she's made a return. So, yeah,
I have a question.
Sure.
What is the most coolest Australian championship belt? Because I'm looking at Pierce's belt. Do you guys have do you have a collection of Australian the coolest belt? Which organization has the coolest belt?
In the Australian wrestling promotions?
Yeah, which one is the best? Andrew, anybody? Charles?
The only one I know of is the Melbourne City belt.
Is that a cool belt?
The IWA.
It's cool enough.
The IWA belt, that's pretty cool. The AW,
that's a good question.
About it as well. They're pretty cool belts.
I got to check them out. Definitely send me a picture. I just like to look because I'm looking at his belts and I wondered who you guys collect belts. I mean, and I just didn't know if you had an Australian belt that was the coolest one out of all of them. Just curious.
Yeah. I'm getting an Australian belt made actually.
Oh, now that I put it out there, now you're trying to put yourself over.
No.
Oh, hell, Australia! I love Australia. Fuck off.
Fuck you. I'll say, fuck you, Andrew. I'll send you what I'm gonna get. I'll send you what I'm gonna get. I've had it in the works for a while. So. But no, back to Rhea Ripley. She's had a rocket strapped to her back. She's definitely had she's got a very promising future, and she's only 23, 24?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, she's like my age. It's fucked.
Oh, I think she's too old for Velveteen Dream then.
I'll tell you what, I'll give her one thing. This is the only thing I know about her, is Jim Cornette fucking loves her. That's all I know about her.
Does he?
And she's from Adelaide.
I didn't know.
Oh, he loves her. Good God. What, because she's from Adelaide?
No, because you said Jim Cornette got the hots for her.
Oh, fuck, I don't know. Jesus Christ.
If Jim Cornette likes you, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Now, I don't want to say his name because I feel like if you say it 3 times in the dark, he appears behind you.
All of a sudden, we'll just see Charles disappear and from screen.
Game over. Fuck.
The fuck did Charles go? Who's gonna walk me home now? I will say, Rhea Ripley, her match against Charlotte at WrestleMania, best match of the night, in my opinion. That was amazing. That was great.
Absolutely.
And there's pressure because it's WrestleMania. It's the big match. They're not there was a lot riding on her, and it wasn't like such a big dominating kind of match. It was very sort of like back and forward. I thought it was fantastic. Great opener for the pay-per-view.
I don't think she lost anything in that match as well. Like you obviously in wrestling, when someone there has to be a winner and a loser, there has to be someone who's going over and someone who's doing the job. But Rhea came out of that looking like $1 million, even though she put Charlotte over. But
she put a name on that for sure.
Yeah, and she's got time on her side as well. She, like I said, she's only 23 or 24 years of age. She's got definitely got time on her side.
If you're interested, Angel, there's a comment here. Coolest belt collector is Libnan Ayub. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
What the hell?
Wrestling historian. He released the book 100 Years of Australian Pro Wrestling.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. Can you say his name 5 times without fumbling?
Libman.
Can you say it one time?
I can't even pronounce it.
So what's next, Andrew?
Moving on, we have Mark Mercedes, Australian professional wrestler and promoter, currently owning and promoting the International Wrestling Australia. He was one of the few Australians to wrestle for World Championship Wrestling and World Wrestling All-Stars in '93. He worked WCW Saturday Night and WCW Worldwide and wrestled Rick Rude on WCW television. Also wrestled Rick Martel at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, and he performed in dark matches on the 2000 WCW Australia tour.
Yeah, he also, you mentioned he owns the IWA in Australia, and that's pretty much one of the longest reigning wrestling promotions here in Australia. I was going to IWA shows 20 years ago, man, in early 2000s, and their shows were amazing. Mark, as a wrestler, as a performer, he's a big, strong dude. He was actually trained by the Malenkos as well. And super great guy. I got to meet him quite a few times in the early 2000s. Always a great guy, solid guy in the ring. And he also got to wrestle in the WWA where he wrestled Rick Steiner.
Where's the IWA? Like, where are they located? Sydney or?
Yeah, they're in Sydney. They do a lot of traveling shows as well, like in New South Wales. So they do a lot of regional shows as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've heard of them, but I've never seen them like advertised here. So I was wondering.
Hey, I have a question.
Sure.
So in Puerto Rico, when like when in America you eat hot dogs and hot dogs, burgers, for the fans. In Puerto Rico, they used to have different things for the region that was not just regular hot dogs or burgers. In Australia, what is the most popular foods at the shows? Like the cheese twist that Christy was talking about yesterday. Whatever you guys.
Meat pie.
Yeah. Meat pie.
Meat pie. Sausage roll.
Is that a common thing at the show? Beer, of course.
Yeah, meat pies. You'll get them fucking everywhere.
And what's in the meat pie?
Any sporting event you go to, mince meat and gravy.
It's sort of thick pastry. It's like minced meat with gravy on the inside, another sheet of pastry over the top. They have other fillings and stuff. A lot of then you're going to have your tomato sauce smothered over it.
But see,
I
wouldn't be eating at a wrestling show though.
So that's not
another one.
But that's not a wrestling staple. Like when you go to like a sporting event, you get nachos and cheese and a hot dog.
No, it's just a sporting ground staple. Like things that are easy, just shoved to people. Like so hot chips and meat pie, sausage roll. Easy, sort of you can do kind of 1 to 2 handed. It's just there's no gourmet food, there's no specialties. It's just whatever's easy.
Oh, okay. Because in America, it's hot dogs, burgers, nachos.
We get all that here. Not the pretzels. We don't really do pretzels.
See, So I just wondered what you guys eat at shows that are popular. Sorry, Andrew. I was just curious.
That's right. Place for learning for everyone.
So what's next, Andrew?
Next up, we have the mighty. We'll go into the final segment notes here. We've got NXT talent and other WWE involvement. So the mighty Don't Kneel, currently performing as Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink, are an Australian tag team currently signed to WWE, working the Raw brand. Not really familiar with them. Have any of you seen them?
So the Mighty Don't Kneel were actually a stable that were created in the Australian circuit, and it's actually a stable of guys. And TMDK was then adopted in NXT. There was also known as, I think, TM16 was their name, and they wrestled in the Dusty Classic. I think it was Mikey Nichols decided he wanted to come home when his wife had a baby. I think it was about a year or two ago. But he's been wrestling on the indie circuit here back in Australia. But Shane Thorne, I think, is still he actually still is going over there. But Bronson Reed, formerly known as Jonah Rock, but Bronson Reed, who's now on NXT, he was a part of TMDK as well.
Yeah.
And what were they called? The Mighty what?
The Mighty
Don't Kneel.
Hey, we have the same thing in America. We call them the Mighty Ducks. And
Which first started out as the movie Champions,
Quack.
and then they did number 2, and then they were like, "Oh, we should go back with this," and renamed the first movie as Mighty Ducks 1.
What was it originally called?
Champions.
Oh, don't think I knew that.
well, hey
we
guys,
know.
I have to go. I have to go grocery shopping. I would love to stay on and continue with this intellectual topic about Black Australians, but thank you for having me on. I would love to come on next
We're
time.
all black in the dark, Angel.
We're black in the dark. All right, man. Well, hey, I would love to come on next time, and when I'm not going to grocery shopping, but I'll catch you guys later.
No worries.
Later,
Thanks for
brother.
joining us.
And Pierce,
Take care,
work on
mate.
that Australian belt that you've been working on for such a long time.
He has, Angel. He has. Yeah.
Hold on. Later, bro.
Later,
Catch you
brother.
later.
All right, so where are we at
we'll-
now? So
We'll there's 2 more left. We covered Jonah Rock working. Jonah Rock also worked in Pro Wrestling Noah.
yeah, he did.
As part of Mighty Don't Kneel. I've got Daniel Verdeau, Australian former rugby player, currently signed to WWE under NXT. Signed the contract in May 2018.
Mhm.
And on April 24th this year, 2020, he made his on-screen debut on SmackDown, losing to Sheamus.
Yeah, man, he played for the Brisbane Broncos.
Did he?
Yeah, he played for the Broncos. I think he did a couple of seasons with the Broncos. I think he also did a season with the Sharks. I want to think, but he got signed. He got snapped up by NXT, and he's over there. And man, he's looking fucking jacked now. Like he was a big boy before, but he's fucking huge. And you know what? I think he's going to be one of those guys, man. That's it's going to be quite a name to be in the next couple of years. I think once he sort of starts building himself up, I hope WWE sees something in him because I think he's definitely got something that he can bring to the table.
It's crazy how many of the guys they start out as football players in like different leagues and then end up as wrestlers. Like so many of them have gone that path.
Yeah. No, a lot of them have. Like even you look at the American Gridiron guys as well.
Yeah.
So he was a hell of a. And Daniel Bowman says he was a hell of a footballer in the NRL. Hopefully, he gets a decent shot in the coming years. I definitely think he will. He's definitely he's got those Samoan genetics. He's a big boy, and I think he's going to be one to be reckoned with in the years to come.
Well, as they all should be, I think. All of these guys are very talented. The last note I've got down here is a guy by the name of Damian Slater, WWE debut in 2016. Pardon?
We have the extra. We have iconic.
Here he is.
Sammy.
Hey, man.
So I was saying Damian Slater debut 2016, 23rd of June in the Cruiserweight Classic where he was eliminated in the first round by Tajiri.
I think before
that's
we
pretty good name to go out to.
I think before we get into that, Sammy, you've been in the professional wrestling business for quite some time, and you've been a promoter for a few years as well. Over the last few years, we've definitely seen a lot of Australian talent coming to fruition in, the WWE and some international brands as well. Obviously you've been in it for as long as you have. How do you feel like Australians now are finally getting their time to shine overseas?
Did you hear us,
that as a yes.
Sammy.
Psychotic, can you hear us?
Sorry, it's just a real bad. I can hear you. Just keep it going.
Yeah, so I was just saying, you've been in wrestling for many years, and it's only that just recently, with the last several years, that we've seen Australian talent really starting to go overseas and make names for themselves, especially in WWE. And how have you found? Do you think it's been long overdue, or do you think that Australia hasn't had that talent to actually go over there previously?
Look, there's definitely a lot of rumors. The reason why, and I'm not trying to like put this. I'll tell you what I know, what I've been told. The main goal is they want to get the Australians over, because the WWE's main goal is to set up a performance center around the world. So if they've done WWE, NXT UK, and their main goal is to set one up in Australia. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to build all the Aussies up. And if they can get this thing going, the idea is to send the Aussies back, do a couple of local shows. You know, the media will get right behind it, eat it all up. You know what I mean? And just do the whole circuit back and forth. You know, it helps with the visa and everything else. So that was their main goal. Also, the talent is definitely unbelievable. They can't deny it. So, you know, there's a few standouts and they got an opportunity. So, but the reason why Australia is so important at the moment is because they realise that there's so much potential. And I'll be honest with you, there's so much talent here that's still not discovered. You've got a lot of people that can't afford to buy an airline ticket and go overseas and do a tryout and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like that.
Can I ask, how does that all work in terms of like getting tryouts overseas to various companies, like for an Australian talent?
How's it work? Well, pretty much you got to register online. You got to find out where the tryout's going to be. I mean, some people were lucky enough to do tryouts in Australia, but the ones in Australia, I mean, they're not every year. It might be every couple of years. You know what I mean? And if you do it every couple of years, they won't take you serious because it's like, well, he did a tryout, but you got to build your resume. Like there could be a tryout. I don't know. Like example, there was one in India not long ago.
Yeah.
And 2 people over there got signed. And some people say, oh, but they're only looking. Yeah, they might say, oh, they're only looking for Indians. That's not the case. You just don't know where it's going to be. You just have to go to every single one and really try out.
And you have
that's
to
interesting.
and obviously show them something that they want, or show them something that they see in you that they can see potential in to invest.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have an invite to begin with. So in other words, you send your resume and all that. You know, you say, look, I can be here, whatever. You know, they'll send you an invite, and if you can make it, you make it. You know, well, back in the day, like early 2000, I remember it was ridiculous. The WWE used to put on a 3-day tryout at FCW, which is now the NXT in Florida.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-day thing, and you had to pay $1,000. $1,000 just someone to look at you. Yeah, I remember the first year they did it, they had 85 students from around the world. That's 85 grand in 3 days.
I guess that would have been the American dollar as well. So depending on, like, it just sort of say $100 would have been so much more for like Australians to fork out. Sorry, 1,000. It would have been so much more with the exchange rate too.
But then also to travel there and the accommodation to stay there as well. Like it's,
$5 grand trip.
Oh, plus, and
there's an old saying over there. If you don't bring it, we ain't got it. So you have to organise everything yourself.
Yeah, but
fair call.
But that's the thing. So, Andrew, what was the next wrestler you wanted to mention on the list?
That was it, Piers. I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, look, I definitely think we did. Also, I just want to give a special shout out to Psychotic for joining us. He does run AWE here in Australia. He and his co-worker from AWE, Liam, have been doing some amazing interviews. Head over to their page, show them some love and support. They support our page, we support their page, and we also support AWE as a promotion when this Corona thing's finished. I can't wait to head out to an AWE show and have a couple of beers and sit back and watch some great Aussie wrestling. So,
I
will be doing exactly the same here in Adelaide once all
How are we going for
stuff's
time?
over.
Sorry? What was that, Sam?
How are we going for time?
How are you guys going for time?
We're just on the hour. So.
I've got time.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you want to mention? Did you want to?
Okay. You got my attention when you mentioned.
Sorry.
You caught my attention when you mentioned the sheep herders, because I was actually speaking to Luke this morning. Believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Go for it.
Yeah. No. Let's discuss them. I'm happy to over and do it again. So the sheep herders, man, they were a bad, like, I said earlier, man, that those guys, when they got to WWE and they were doing the bushwhacker gimmick, a lot of people think that that's what they only did, but their sheep herder stuff was insane. Like, they were one of the most savage tag teams. I'd put them up there with the Gangsters in ECW and the Baldies, in some of those matches. They were straight out savages. And, when they went to WWE, it was a complete 180. But,
Yeah, Luke used to be the booker in Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon. He used to work there. And for WWC, World Wrestling Council. And then what happened is when he went back to the States, him and Sabia Vega paired up. They started this promotion with someone else called IWA, which is in Puerto Rico. And he actually told Carlos, he goes, listen, I've been offered this much money to go back to the island. And Carlos couldn't match it. So, everyone had to make a living. So I actually went back and promoted in IWA. It was not a bad thing because it was the first competition that they had, and they sort of like helped the talent back and forth. So they were going around. So, but man, that's actually where I first met Luke as well. I actually wrestled for Carlos Colon back in 2008.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
I was working for the opposite company over there. So, yeah.
How'd you find working over in Puerto Rico? How'd you find?
His wife's now, but his wife's actually Puerto Rican and he lives in Florida.
Oh, really? Yeah, right. So he's over in the States still. So sorry, Charles.
I was going to say, does he own the gym in Florida? Was it him who owns it?
Yeah,
I think one of the two. Oh, okay, yep.
No, yeah, he owned the gym, and his actually we're talking about this morning. The fact that he sold at the right time, otherwise they would have been suffering.
Yeah,
because all the gyms are closed.
Fuck.
Yeah, so
good point.
And the guy that brought it, and the some staffs and everything through the roof, but it was actually Hulk's idea to actually put it in there as well. So because it's actually above Hogan's Beach Shop.
Jesus,
that's awesome. Fuck.
But guys, look, we have been at the 1 hour mark, so we are needing to sort of head out of here. But we will get Psychotic back on again. Psychotic, if you want to hang back, we'll just have a chat back. But Andrew, you want to wrap things up since it's your show, mate? Sorry to take control.
That's all right. I'm still getting the hang of all this stuff. Oh, what are you laughing at now, Charles? I'm not that funny.
No. Don't worry. Don't take this too much of a compliment. I laugh at everything.
Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. And we are...
we're done.
We're done.
Wrestling Alliance.
Thanks, guys. I was late to get there.
It's late. I've had a busy week. I'm bushed. I'm calling it a night after this. So thank you again for joining us. And